Push this and this. Hey, welcome to another workshop here at the test camp. Sure is good to be back here in Florida. This is FTCE K-6 Social Science. It's the second of the 4 workshops for the elementary education tests we do here in Florida. Now, those of you joining us live online, we wish you're here with us, but you're welcome to contribute your comments anytime. We'll get to as many as we possibly can during the discussions. And if you joined us on demand directly through the Test Camp YouTube channel, well, of course, you can pause or restart or replay that video anytime. Now, this workshop is part of the series for elementary education tests, and we're going to let you ask questions anytime you want to here during the workshop. And then what I'll do is I'll repeat them for those listening on the recording. Is that all right? You can hear me back there? All right. So the motto here at the test camp, as many of you know, is prepare, practice, perform. You're here today to prepare for the test. So you've come to this workshop. You're going to practice the testing skills over the training sites. Then you'll perform with test confidence. So let's go ahead and get started. Many of you I've noticed have been here before, so I recognize many of you. How many of you have been with us here before? Very good. Well, thanks for coming back and thanks for spreading the word. To prepare at the test camp, as you know, is to gain knowledge not only about the test, but about yourself. It's the first step to becoming a skilled test taker. We start with the blueprint. That provides all the information you need to fully understand a test. It can also be a good first step to creating what we call My Study Plan, simply a schedule that you create to help you review and study test content. Keeps you on the correct pathway. All right, here's an overview of the entire elementary education subject area exam. Notice that your exam is a series of 4 individual tests, and each one is very different. That's one reason why some teachers and teacher candidates decide to schedule 2 days to complete the exam rather than attempting to pass all 4 on one day. Now, who here has considered that, or you've done that in the past? And did you have to pay any extra for the second day? You didn't. Okay, but you would suggest that they check first, right? Okay. Because it used to be that you would have to pay for the second day. All right, so that's something you want to decide. There's your first big decision right there. Now, your social science test has, as it says up here, 50 multiple choice questions, and the time allotted is 65 minutes, so just over 1 minute allotted for each question. Now, knowing this is going to help put you on what we call a pace for success. You decide when to answer a question and when to save it for the next pass through your test. Yeah, you got a question right back here. Thank you. I'll repeat it for the folks listening in. Yes, that is one of the testing skills we practice here at the test camp. Thank you for bringing that up. You learn how to pretty much only answer half the questions the first time through. You learn how to mark and save them. That's good. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, our first step to prepare, though, is to identify the types of social science questions you can expect to encounter on this test. Now, not the question format. We know that all the questions are multiple choice. We're going to be discussing the social science competencies, the knowledge and skills represented in the test questions. So, to get started today at the workshop, let's invest a few minutes at your tables to share your personal history with each other. Just a quick introduction around the table. When it's your turn, you can either share a significant event that's happened in your life so far, the most significant or important person, or when it's your turn, you might instead choose to share something about a group of people that you're involved with. Okay, it's up to you. A significant event, person, or group, and you're just going to choose one. All right, do we have a person who would like to start at each table? Let me just see who's going to start at each table over here. Who's going to start here? Show of hands over here. Okay, so we got a volunteer to get us rolling on this. All right, I'll come around and listen to some of the discussions. When I come back up here, we're going to share some of the personal history as one big group. Hey, if you're joining us today live online, share a piece of your personal history and we'll include it in the discussion. And if you're joining us on demand by the Test Camp YouTube channel, this might be a good time to pause the recording and consider an event, a person, or a group that's been significant in your personal history. We'll be here when you restart the recording. Everyone, okay, up here, we're back. You just finished sharing some of your personal history. Let's discuss how your history is similar to history questions on a standardized test. Expect test questions to be about, what do you think? Events. Sure, test questions will be about people and, of course, groups. And we're going to find that some groups are small, just a few people. And, of course, other groups are much larger, like entire civilizations when they talk about world history. But in the history workshops here at the test camp, the discussion is more detailed. We talk about a lot of significant people. So if that's a test you need to take in terms of U.S. or world history, come over to those training centers. But in social science, or that they call it here for Florida, it's pretty much just the knowledge about the events, people, and groups in history. And we have to also consider how the historians look at this and how the test writers look at it in terms of time, continuity, and change. So think about your personal history. If you were asked to write about the history of your life, an autobiography, you'd likely give your story as it unfolded over time, wouldn't you? Start with the first few events. I was born, and then, significant people who came in during your timeline. You put them in order. That's called chronology or history. Now, the next term used in this description is continuity. So do you recognize this word, continue, in there? You see? Well, continuity for historians means those things that over time pretty much stay the same. Right. So I'll repeat your comment for those listening to the recording. Go ahead. Oh, you were just going to say, well, like your family is a good example. Sure it is. For a lot of people, their family stays the same, but not everybody. Or maybe your hometown, right? Because for a lot of people, there's been a lot of change that's taken place. Have events changed in your life? Sure. Have people come in and out of your life? Right. Sometimes change isn't that easy. All right. So what will you be asked about your knowledge of U.S. states history, United States history, and world history? Well, we're going to look at some sample questions in just a minute, but we're going to look at them for a different reason. It's to learn and practice the test skills. So on your paper that we provided there for you, write history and then number 1 through 3. You'll see what we're going to do here in just a minute. Everyone ready over here? You ready? Okay. Here's the first sample question, and we always start down here at the answer set. So, a lack of representation, high prices on commodities, excessive taxation, or the treatment of tea makers. Now we go up to the stem, look at the question, look for keywords or phrases. What is this history question about? Not looking for the correct answer. Right, the details about, yes, the Boston Tea Party, which is an event. Yes, so on your paper, number 1, write down one of these 3 words about your level of confidence for finding this correct answer for this event question. Yes, you are absolutely confident that you know the answer. Maybe. You're not sure, but maybe your answer would be correct. No. You're just not that familiar with this content or this event. You're likely just maybe to make a guess. So yes, maybe, or no. You have that written down? Here we go on to number 2. Again, start with the answer set. Okay, and this is a history question about famous, not events, people. There you go, correct. So on your paper, number 2, write one of these words. What is your level of confidence? And here's sample question number 3. Again, starting in the answer set. And this question is about world history, a large group of people, so civilizations. What's your level of confidence that you would have, given time, we're going too quickly here today, but given time, that you would find the correct answer? You'd eliminate a couple. Okay. So how well would you perform if the entire social studies test was based on only one competency, history, By show of hands, how many wrote down yes all 3 times? Did you write? Nobody did. That is excellent. Very good. Being honest about your knowledge, that's key to passing tests. Man, that's good. Very good. All right, so let's move on to the next competency. Here's a description. What is the competency? Yes, geography, the study of places and the relationship between people and their environments. Questions were constructed to test your knowledge on these main concepts. Okay, so you've heard of the 6 elements of geography. How many have? Oh, not very many of us. All right, well, let's learn about them. I had to. All right, so here we go. The 6 elements are, starting with number 1 up here, is maps. That makes sense that you'd have to know about maps, right? Your ability to use and locate places on a map. The next element is places and regions. Places like landmarks and cities. Regions like territories, countries, continents. Physical systems. Issues related to the weather, maybe hurricanes, climate change. And although it might sound like science, how plants and animals depend on each other. You know, it's a circle of life kind of thing. All right, so the 4th element is human systems. You like that, huh? How humans get around, the physical structure of the planet. Bodies of water, they move differently across bodies of water, don't we, than flat terrains or mountain ranges and that sort of thing. Okay, number 5, environment and society. So the effects of humans on environment and the effect of the environment on humans, both good and bad. And we have one more element. Let's see what we've left out here. Okay, so the uses of geography. If we understand the history of geography in the past and in the present, then we can prepare for the future, like preparing for natural disasters. All right, so those are the 6 elements, number 1 through 3, and we'll look at some sample questions built on this competency, geography. You know where to start. Would you absolutely get this correct? Yes, maybe, or no? Geography question number 2. And although we're going too quickly, your level of confidence. Are we ready to move on to question number 3? All right, geography sample question number 3. Starting at the answer set down here. Saw you peeking. And your level of confidence given enough time. Did anyone write yes all 3 times for geography? Anybody? Okay, good. Nobody did. Very good. We're becoming skilled test takers here now. All right, so the next competency is described this way. What is the competency? You've got it. Civics. There you go. Does anybody here know this guy? Who is this? I'll repeat your answer for those listening to the recording. All right, back here. Who is this guy? There you go. Yes, like it says on his button, this is Bill. And you said he's from an after-school television show. Do you remember the school? The school, yeah, the show. It's called Schoolhouse Rock. Believe it or not, it started in the 70s. Ran for a dozen years or so, went off the air, came back. Now you can find them on the internet. For those of you listening to the recording, do an internet search called I'm Just a Bill. It's cute. A few minutes will teach you everything you need to know about government. But today, Bill is here to remind us that these are the main concepts used to make test questions. How government is designed to work, important documents, and issues related to citizenship. All right, everybody ready? Number 1 through 3, and we'll look through some sample questions. Are we ready? Civics question number 1. Start with the answer set. Level of confidence. Civics, question number 2. How confident are you, given enough time, that you would come up with the correct answer? And civics, question number 3. How did you fare with the civics questions? Ooh, a lot of grumbling. All right, that might be an area to study then, right? Okay. The final competency is described this way. Can you name this competency? You've got it, economics, and the main concepts are right there to see in the description. Production, distribution, consumption. All right, so when you're ready, we're going to look through some sample questions related to economics. Looks like everybody's ready. Here's the first sample question. Start at the answer set. Economics example number 2. Just skimming through, what would be your level of confidence on this one? And the final example for economics, number 3. All right, did everyone get at least 1 yes out of 3 on this one? Pretty much everybody on economics, at least 1 yes. How many got 2 or more? Okay, that's pretty good. That's a little bit advanced there. I know that's not an area that you study that much. Now here are the content areas that we discussed so far. There is one more competency, which accounts for about 20% of the test. Everybody knows what this is? Teaching, yes. So to learn more about this competency, you might join the workshop FTCE PED Major FEEPS. Okay, we have 3 workshops for the professional education test, and if you join this one, we talk pretty much about the planning, learning environment, teaching strategies, and assessment that would apply to a social studies test. You're likely just going to watch a recording like some of those are doing online here today. Yeah, it probably won't be in person. All right, so that's an overview of the 5 competencies on the K-6 social science test. What do you think these numbers might represent? Yes, the number of test questions that were created to check your understanding in each competency. Does anyone know the percent to pass for this one? Yes, that is correct. You looked this up? So it's 71%. Now, does that seem high or low? What have we said in the other workshops? Right, this is not a test created by a teacher who's trying to teach the competencies. If it were, it might be a little higher. But this is just trying to test that you understand and you can perform on the competencies. So let's do some math here real quick. 55 questions. I've done this out in front for you, so it's about 39 or 40. So another way of looking at it is you need about, a little less than 3 out of every 4. That's important to know because you can actually miss how many there? Would that be 16 or so? Yeah, so that's good to know because in this, of course, we just say go find your 39. This is not an A-B test. This is pass-fail. Yeah, so just go find your 39. All right, and one last way to look at this is which would you choose? So now that you know the competencies, you know how many test questions there are, which one would you consider to be less challenging for you, or is there a competency area that you consider to be more challenging? All right, talk this over at your tables. We're going to compare your ideas as a group. All right, again, for the last time for the discussions for today. You joining us live online, if you'll share your thoughts, we're going to include them in the discussion. And if you're joining us on demand, we've enjoyed having you here, of course. Hope you can use this YouTube channel to find some other workshops that you might need. And go ahead and pause the recording. List some of your thoughts about how you'd plan to review and study for a multiple choice test like this. We'll be here when you restart the video. All right, great discussions about strategies to review and study. The next thing we want to talk about here just briefly is, well, how else can you prepare for this test? How can you get the knowledge that you're going to need, and how else can you prepare is by finding the resources you need, the tools you might need for guaranteeing your success. And you can expect to see this sign along the pathways during your test skills training. Most of you already know that this is folks that have gone ahead of you. They've already gone through all this, and they leave encouraging messages and warnings. And then this message is to avoid spending your time and your money, especially on expensive resources. You just don't need them for this sort of test. Commercial webinars are a good example. People trying to make money on webinars, you can avoid paying for free test information and free strategies. So the warning there is that be on the lookout for the webinars. Also, expensive tutors and tutoring companies. They say this might be an option for more challenging tests. Beware too of overpriced study guides that are sold for a profit. Many $50 or so, $40, $50. You've seen these, I'm seeing, okay? Many study guides are available either free or inexpensive. I'm going to show you how in just a moment. And a more effective and inexpensive resource now, it really is textbooks, because you know the competencies being tested. You can use textbooks to review and study test content. Now over at the Training Center in the My Resources area, expect to find the most popular and up-to-date resources there. And you can see the study guides are very inexpensive. The used ones as low as $5 for this test, social studies, or social, they call it here in Florida, social science, elementary social science. And I believe that study guide is for all 4 tests too. Pretty sure of that. All right, so they're saying don't invest time and don't invest money on resources. Instead, invest in yourself. You can practice your test skills and gain confidence and personal independence. You can pass those skills on to your students. And your pass here provides admission to these training areas that you see up here. Up there at the top is what's called My Test. Now that's an activity that enables you to check your understanding of the test blueprint, everything we've talked about here today. And you can also take a pre-test in that activity 1 area. This is the test camp problem solving system. What is that? Activities 2 through 6. That first step up there at the top, that's identify the type of question by the competency. Does that sound familiar? We've been doing that today, right? Quizzes and tests provide an opportunity to practice your test skills while you're assessing your test content knowledge, so you know better where to go and review and study, because the quizzes are based on the competencies. And the questions and answers change randomly on each one of your attempts. Right over in the test area, there's pre-tests there, practice tests, excuse me, and there's that post-test that can help you earn a professional test certificate. And that's going to guarantee your success on here. All right, so expect to perform with confidence that comes from the knowledge and the skills you earned during the training. Let's get started. There's no better time than now to empower your test confidence.